Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, Baxter Boxing. Now, Canelo Alvarez, man, wow. Last week he beat Caleb Plant, Sweet Hands Plant, undefeated IBF champion. And Canelo Alvarez had the WBA, WBO, and the IBF, and the WBA titles, right? Every title about the IBF. And, understand that when Canelo fought Caleb Plant, the reason why he got the opportunity was because he fought under the promotion, and that promotion is the PBC. And PBC gave him a shot to become undisputed, man. Al Haymon could have easily just fed Caleb Plant to someone like a Jamal Charlo, and he could have kept everything in-house and not signed Canelo Alvarez to the promotion. Canelo Alvarez then thanks the PBC and most notoriety Al Haymon. He gave him the notoriety as the reason why he got the fight in the first place, and he thanks Showtime, PBC, and Al Haymon for this opportunity in the first place. Now, this is a quote from Canelo Alvarez, man. It's on BoxingScene.com, and Canelo Alvarez says, and I quote, "Showtime, PBC, Al Haymon, everyone treated me so well." Alvarez said during the post-fight press conference, "I felt really comfortable. All I can say is overall, end to end, it was excellent." That's what my boy Canelo Alvarez has to say about Al Haymon and the PBC and his star-like treatment he got from Al Haymon. Now, it's wild stuff because while Canelo Alvarez had big fights under Oscar De La Hoya and DAZN, this was definitely the biggest fight for him by far in his career, because becoming undisputed is something that Manny Pacquiao didn't do, and Floyd Mayweather has never done, and Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. has never done. This is a really big deal for my boy Canelo Alvarez. Understand that Canelo Alvarez was given this opportunity by Al Haymon, much like the Andy Ruiz opportunity was given to the opportunity was given to him by Al Haymon as well. Understand that before Andy Ruiz was shelved by Top Rank. No one believed in the guy, and they let him go. PBC bought his contract out, helped him buy his contract out, and that's how he got to the PBC in the first place. So all being said, man, Al Haymon, a Black American promoter, is out here making legendary Mexican fighters, and the guy needs his roses, man. I think people need to understand that, he's doing things that Oscar De La Hoya has never done. Make Mexican superstar fighters, right? Now, Al Haymon's really, he's very democratized in whoever fights. He lets the best fight the best. It's the reason why Marcus Maidana was able to fight guys like Adrian Broner, who gave him his first loss, right? I mean, I can go on and on about top Black fighters who these Latino fighters or South American fighters were fighting, and they gave him the first loss, right? I can go on and on down the list, but I'd be here talking about it way too long, right? All that being said, Brian Castano recently just fought Jamel Charlo, and they fought to a draw. Castano could have easily won that fight. I can keep going on and on, keep talking about it, but you get the point. That being said, man, Canelo Alvarez gives respect to Uncle Al Haymon, and this is a good deal, man. Now that Canelo Alvarez has become undisputed, his legacy and this point on in his career, these are all legacy fights. The Jamal Charlos, I heard that fight is coming up next. The Demetrius Andrade, those fights are legacy-making fights for Canelo Alvarez, and I think they're bigger fights than even Triple G, because Triple G, while a great fighter, has basically been stagnant ever since the Canelo loss. He hasn't really tried to do anything in his career. He was seen as the guy who had the most title defenses, right, tonight tying Bernard Hopkins' title defense in the middleweight division. But understand that ever since then, he's been not really trying to fight the Demetrius Andrades and the Jamal Charlos. At one point, DAZN was even trying to put pressure on him and say that, hey, we're not going to pay you this kind of money fighting tomato cans, right? The DAZN was talking about suing Triple G at one point because he's not fighting no big dogs. So that all being said, man, understand that Canelo Alvarez is getting this opportunity because of Al Haymon. Even before, when Canelo Alvarez was signed to Oscar De La Hoya, he was doing co-promotions with people like Floyd Money Mayweather. Canelo Alvarez is fighting under all of his undercards. So even indirectly he was getting a helping hand by a trainer and fighter in Floyd Money Mayweather by fighting on his undercards, right? Like when he fought Shane Mosley, he fought him on his undercard, right? I can keep going down and down list about Canelo's resume, but you know, he's fought who he's fought, and even when he fought Austin Trout, you know, he fought that under a Floyd Mayweather card, right? It was a co-promotion between Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Money Mayweather. So that being said, man, that's how Canelo really got the spotlight. He wasn't headlining his own pay-per-views until after the Floyd Mayweather loss, right? Then he could really stand his own 2 feet and have his own promotions. So, you know, I'm really excited to see that Canelo Alvarez get his credit where credit is due. A lot of people hate Al Haymon, but understand that this legacy-defining moment in Canelo Alvarez's career is all thanks to Uncle Al Haymon and indirectly Floyd Mayweather as well, by giving him the shine and the visibility to be seen in the first place. Fighting on a Floyd Mayweather card gets you seen as well, bar none. You know, so we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out with Canelo Alvarez's career. This side of his career is definitely bigger than the. You know, we know what they say, man. Getting to the hill is a big deal, but it's once you get on top of the hill where your career is really defined. Now that Canelo Alvarez has become undisputed, you know, in my opinion, he's on competition to compete with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Sr. for, you know, TBE. But he really needs that career-defining win that really separates him in all-time greats. Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., you know, he beat Roger Mayweather. You know, he beat all-time great fighters. So, you know, that being said, we're gonna see where Canelo goes from here. But the Demetrius Andrades, the Jamal Charlos, those fighters are multi-division world champions, and they've been doing it for since 154, fighting all the big dogs, right? Understand that Jamal Charlo, he knocked out Julian Jack Williams, who later became undisputed unified champion, having most of the belts at 154. So, you know, we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out, man. But I'm really excited to see that Canelo Alvarez is getting these big fights now, and he's signed with the right promoter. Always thought the better promoters are with Uncle Al Haymon, and I do think that Caleb Plant was the best fighter outside of Canelo at 168. I think he was better than the Liam brothers. I forgot which one it was, Liam Smith or Liam Williams, one of the guys at 168. He was better than Billy Joe Saunders. I think that's neck and neck. They got to fight each other. But he was definitely one of the natural 168 fighters who were the best. Billy Joe Saunders is a great fighter skill-wise, but he was a small 168 fighter. There's a reason why he didn't try to impose himself on Canelo. He doesn't hit as hard as a natural 168 fighter like a Caleb Sweet Hands Plant, right? Anyway, man, let me know how you guys feel about it, though, man. Canelo gives respect where respect is due. We're going to see his career goes from here. Great win for Canelo Alvarez beating Caleb Plant.